Yes, hello, good morning. Today is August 22nd, Monday, August 22nd, 2022. I'm posting this video on YouTube. Anyways, I have a new report for you folks out there. I fired my attorney, Mr. J.L.E. Mullowney, yesterday, accusing him of every possible breach you can accuse a lawyer of. It would appear that my suspicions were quite correct, that Mr. Mullowney was working to bring harm to my estate. And Mr. Mullowney was working for someone else. For 8 months, he lied to me with provocation after provocation, and really not doing anything at all. So yesterday, he asked me for a screenshot of my brother's communications to me, where my brother accused Mr. Mullowney, and my brother stated he wanted to tell me some things about Mr. Mullowney's activities if I emailed him, my brother, a copy of Mr. Mullowney's termination. And I believe that even though my brother's a monster, which he is, I believe there's merit to what he had stated. But nonetheless, I don't want nothing to do with him. I don't care what he's got, because of the diaries that I have regarding my mother. So Mr. Mullowney started pressuring me and threatening me and telling me to either give him the screenshots of what my brother stated, or and to accept his forced representation, which has been nothing but lies since day one. He said it was his final warning to me. So I immediately made a decision, and it didn't take me too long. And I don't like being threatened by, an attorney who I can fire. I mean, it's my right to fire him. So I sent him an emailed communication that he's terminated, and I laid out all the reasons why. And then he sends me an email, this guy, telling me that, telling me about my behavior. My behavior. And he's going to the OGPT, which is the Ontario Guardian Trustee, because I have no understanding of my estate. This is what this lawyer tried to pull. I do note, I was suspicious. I looked into this lawyer's background further, and it turns out that this lawyer is quite involved with mental health. Okay? So this was a setup by the government. All right? I didn't need mental health. I needed an attorney who would handle my estate. All right? Mr. Mullowney, I emailed Mr. Mullowney, this creep, and I indicated to him I had evidence against my brother regarding his wanting sole executorship for the estate. The videos are posted of my mother's diaries in her own handwriting of my brother threatening to kill her, calling her a pig. They're terrible. I'm going to take photographs of them today, and I'm going to send them off to the SCC. So he sends me this ridiculous letter. So, I mean, the guy is out of his mind. I mean, this lawyer was playing me all along, He wouldn't answer any of my questions. He refused to. It became clear to me that this lawyer seemed to think that he didn't have to answer a thing I said. So he was already treating me like I was mentally ill, and he was going to be in control, okay? That's what he did. That's pretty disgusting, what he pulled. Obviously, I'll say again, he was working for someone else, all right? So I called his office last night after I fired him, and he sent me this garbage. And I told him, I said, if you email me one more time, Mullowney, I'll call the police and file a complaint that you're harassing my wife and I. And I warned him. And then I tried to call the OGPT or whatever it's called, and my call kept failing. I wanted to leave them a message. They have an office here in Ottawa to complain about this attorney. and to let them know in advance that I fired him because he was trying to treat me like I was some kind of mentally ill, insane person, and therefore wouldn't answer any of my questions, using that as an excuse to get away with a whole bunch of things that he pulled. And I indicated to Mullowney that I'm appealing to the Supreme Court. Like I told him this, I think the week before, that, that I'm going to throw in the towel on this and I'll appeal to the Supreme Court, and my brother will have to come to Ottawa if the Supreme Court accepts the appeal. Mr. Mullowney violated Section 24.1 of the Charter, okay? That's what he did. He violated the Charter civil rights, so I have to file against him on section, I just woke up, Section 24.1. Well, I didn't just wake up, folks. I've been up for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. So he also said to me, because of my behavior. I mean, what do you do when you call your attorney, call him, email him, he refuses to answer any of your questions? Mr. Mullowney, as I think I'd said in a previous video, listen to me, what this guy said. He said on July 15th, on Friday, Daniel, you'll have your money next week. You'll be able to get your mom's headstone, and you'll be able to take care of your boat. All right? The next week came around, nothing happened. This guy was provocating to make me mad, and that's the only possible reason for him to make these false promises. So I'm posting this video on YouTube for the public. I don't know how many of you will be able to see it. I see that the numbers of people watching my videos is still low. I warn people, I warn Christians and religious people as well. There's a huge gang complex in Canada, okay? Which involves corrupted lawyers, corrupted psychiatrists, corrupted judges, and it's quite a big organization. So if you're targeted because you have evidence against the government, okay, they're actually able to block you from complaining. My wife and I have no right to have any complaint investigated against anyone. And that's why we went to the Supreme Court. I don't even trust the Law Society of Ontario. I could try and file a complaint against him with the Law Society. This guy was really smart because most of his insults were by telephone and his lack of response by email, okay? And this was consistent for 7 months. Where did my wife and I go? Well, I called the Supreme Court last night. I told them what he'd done. I also emailed the Supreme Court, okay? Like, they're telling me to email them, okay? And I've got their email in my phone. No auto response. Now, the reason why, and I complained about this already, is because they've got someone here. Someone has been hired right in this area, 24/7, okay? And they're cutting into our emails on the mobile data and on the Wi-Fi, okay? Because when I tried to send them an email last night, I didn't send it by Wi-Fi. I sent it by our mobile data. And I should have gotten an auto response. I didn't get one. So I called and complained about that, and I told them this. Like, I think it's incredibly sick, that I have to leave my home, okay, to go into a public park to email the Supreme Court so I get an auto response. Like, I think that's disgusting. And so I asked the Supreme Court, I directed my message to the Chief Justice, Richard Wagner, okay, telling him that they're violating our right to appeal to the Supreme Court. That's what they're doing. When we're allowed to email the Supreme Court, they told me to email them. Like, I don't really understand. I've asked the Supreme Court the judges are going to have to do something with this, because we're not allowed to appeal. I mean, I think it's pretty ridiculous that I have to go out to a park to email the Supreme Court of Canada, who's supposed to protect our Charter of Rights. We have a right to appeal. Okay? Our rights in this city have been taken away from us by the government. We have no right to bring our case forward against the state. None. We have no right of appeal anywhere. And there's nothing wrong with my wife and I. This filthy government, their police, and now this lawyer, they keep trying to accuse me of mental illness, and they've accused my wife. We certainly didn't have these particular problems in BC. I lived there for 35 years in British Columbia. Okay, I didn't have issues with being accused of being mentally ill. All right? And I'm going to say to the public again, there's no judgment by any judge anywhere accusing me of being mentally ill. It just doesn't exist. Mr. Mullowney's got it all in his mind. And what he did in his email to me was illegal. And I'm going to tell you folks something else. According to what I looked it up on Google, okay? And my lawyer cannot threaten me with the OGPT because he has to have represented me a certain way. There's certain kinds of legal representation where a lawyer can go to the OGPT, and I looked it up on Google. Mullowney does not have that criteria. My contract with Mullowney is not based upon that particular kind of legal assistance, okay? He's angry because I threw him to the wolves. He accused me of, now listen to this. He claims that it was my brother that compelled me to terminate Mr. Mullowney. Mr. Mullowney already got terminated once by me. That had nothing to do with my brother. I mean, what I mean to say is, I didn't have any communication with my brother at all at that time. This is about Mr. Mullowney. This is not about my brother, his termination. His termination is because he did not represent me properly. He was playing games all along, and someone hired him to do this. And he needs to be disbarred for what he's done. He's shown me how he's going to deny what he says on the phone. For example, Mr. Mullowney told me regarding the objection notice, okay? When he contacted me about that notice, he said to me, Dan, the judge is ready to make orders. This is what he said to me. He did say that on the phone. And when I mentioned it in an email to him complaining that he stated that, he emails me back and said he never said any such thing. This is the game I knew it, right? He's trying to make it my word against his. Well, he's got a little problem, Mr. Mullowney. And that is, I have been executor and trustee of my mom's estate now since the day he received the wills. Okay? So I'm letting you all know in this very short video, and I'm going to make some calls today. I'm going to call the Russian embassy here, and I'm going to call my Russian friends in New York and let them know. I'm going to call Simon Wiesenthal Center, and I'm going to take some photos of some of the disgusting things my brother did to my mom, and I'm going to send them to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court cannot continue to allow the government of Canada to continue doing this. And I've already told them Mr. Mullowney needs to be disbarred now because of what he's pulled. He tried to play the mental card with me all along. For 7 months he did this. Okay, that's what he was up to. See, that's why he wouldn't answer anything I said. That's why he was treating me like I was his mentally ill patient and that he could do anything he wanted. Well, no, I am not mentally ill, and I think that my videos indicate that. Of course not. I'm very clear-headed, very smart, and I'm not going to allow this lawyer and his filthy friends on Parliament Hill to get away with this one. I'm just not going to allow it. So we'll see if the Supreme Court backs me up. Okay, this is just an attempt to screw me out of my estate. That's what this character was pulling. And some of the things, my brother's a monster. I don't want nothing to do with him. Period. Okay, he's a monster. But in his communications to me, I believe he was telling the truth. I believe, and I'm not, I mean, I don't know for sure, but let's just say that one of the, because Mullowney was definitely working for someone, okay, out to bring harm to me and my wife. This is what he was doing. The problem is I'm not certain of exactly who he was working for, all right? And what some of the things my brother said make a lot of sense. You know, my brother does not know what Mr. Mullowney's been pulling against me for 7-8 months. It's none of my brother's business. My brother had no knowledge whatsoever of my complaints against Mullowney. None. My brother doesn't even know that I was going to fire Mullowney previously. And I sent him a conditional reinstatement, okay? My brother didn't know any of these things. So when my brother texted me and told me, listen, there's some things you need to know about your lawyer. He's a monster, okay? When he started saying that, and he told the truth when he said that my lawyer wanted to be executor over the entire estate. He told me that, right? And that's true. He was not lying. My brother didn't lie. Okay? So when I compared what he said in his text messages to the things that Mr. Mullowney was pulling on myself and my wife regarding the estate, this is what gave my brother some merit. Now, I'm going to cut this video short because I have a lot to do. I got to get out some documents. My brother's a monster, and I'm not going to defend him at all, and I have nothing to do with him. Mr. Mullowney is accusing me, I guess, of ganging up with my brother against him or something. That's utterly ridiculous. As a matter of fact, in my termination of Mr. Mullowney, I made it very clear to my brother as well, to both of them, okay, that I don't want contact with either. And I accused Mullowney of berating me, accusing me of being mentally ill twice, when I warned him the first time not to do that. And I also accused my brother of the same thing. Interestingly, in Mullowney's notice of objection, get a load of this, he states my brother is mentally incapable of being executor. You see? Now, it's true. My brother, the diaries I have from my mom prove that my brother is very definitely psychotic, a psychopath. There's no doubt about that. And I'll say again to you folks out there, I told Mullowney that my brother was a psychopath and hurt my mother, and I warned Mullowney about my brother in the beginning. Okay, so I'm letting you all know. I named both of them to Mr. Mullowney. The letter was also directed to my brother that I don't want nothing to do with you. Don't contact me. The matter is going to the Supreme Court. So I gave Mullowney and my brother the same written warning, okay? And I meant it. I did email my brother last night because he would be wondering why I'm not contacting him. And then I just said, his accusation, his lying garbage, what he said in his document is frankly sick, okay? So I just simply said interesting ideas that he has, right? So I'm going to act against Mr. Mullowney. The Supreme Court is going to have to intervene somehow. They're going to have to do something to clear a path so that my wife and I's right of appeal regarding what this government of Canada is doing to people. Hitler did the same thing to my people, the Jewish race. I did research and I found out that Adolf Hitler sent 15,000 Jewish people through his mental health part of his Nazi government, okay? And accused 15,000 Jewish people of being mentally ill for the purpose of genocide, okay? And this government and their organized criminals and Nazis do the same thing. When you have evidence against the state and they've committed so many crimes against you and violated the Charter of Civil Rights of Canada over and over again, okay, all these, one thing that Mullowney has in common with the other case, and I explained this to the Supreme Court, is as we gathered evidence, as these people committed crimes against us regarding the other matters, In every single case, the people that did this and their associations in government, they accuse us of mental illness. Every time we came forward with evidence, they tried to accuse us of mental illness. This was consistent, okay? And Mr. Mullowney tried to pull the same thing, okay? So essentially, they're trying to destroy my estate by upsetting me. Mr. Mullowney, I accuse of criminal provocation with me by not responding to anything for 7 months. And he is terminated. Okay, anyways, I'll post this thing now. I want to make it short. I gotta get a bunch of my mother's diaries out. They're going to the Supreme Court. And again, I state to the public that I have already told the Supreme Court of Canada that there's someone around here blocking me from emailing them. Because last night, as I said, I sent them an email again from our residents, and I never got an auto response, which means someone captured the email. Okay, and it's someone around here. I believe they have an undercover corrupted piece of dog feces living around here somewhere, who's able to hack my mobile data and the Wi-Fi, and is acting to stop the Supreme Court of Canada from receiving my emails. Okay, and I've already warned the Supreme Court of Canada of this, so I'm waiting for them to call me back, because they're blocking my wife and I's rights under the Charter under Section 24. And Section 24.1, what it states is, and I'll say this to you people out there, it states if you feel that any of your Charter rights have been violated, okay, you can make an appeal to a court of competent jurisdiction to seek a remedy. The Supreme Court of Canada did not rule themselves out as a first court of appeal under Section 24.1 of the Charter, okay? So I'm going to go now. Listen, God bless all of you. And my research regarding Trudeau's policies and that of his governments indeed are Nazi policies. The persistent use of mental illness to get away with crimes against Canadians like myself and my wife by the government and their organized criminal Nazi syndicate, okay, is disgusting. And that's what they're doing here in Canada. Those who spoke out accusing Trudeau of being a dictator are correct. But the problem is he's not a communist dictator. He's a Nazi dictator. In order to prove that he's not a communist dictator, you have to have evidence that he applied the Nuremberg laws, okay? And I say to all you Canadians out there who won't see my videos because a lot of people are not getting access because Trudeau has blocked them, and I know it. Okay, but I will tell all of you that you need to go on Google, okay, you Canadians, especially those of you whose rights have been violated, who are accusing this little French corporal, okay, of being a communist dictator. You need to look up the Nuremberg laws on YouTube, or you can look them up on Google. It's better to look them up on Google, because if you can, you'll find a copy of the Nuremberg laws with the restrictions and the Nuremberg laws, and you need to study the Nuremberg laws, okay? And you need to see if Trudeau and his Nazi mafia henchmen applied them against you. In particular, the government targets people who have evidence against them. And Trudeau is using organized crime and neo-Nazis and a very corrupted judicial system to silence people. So I'll let you go. God bless, have a nice day, and I'll be in touch. I would prefer to do videos on model boating, to be quite frank, or machining, hobby machining. I'd rather do videos like that. And at someday I will do videos like that. But right now, not with this kind of garbage. And I warn you, Mr. Mullowney, in this video, if you try to contact me again, Mr. Mullowney, I will call the Ottawa Police Service. I mean, they did come here once when this guy upstairs, a real lunatic, was harassing my wife and I. And they did go upstairs and talk to them. I give them that. And the guy stopped, okay? So maybe there's a bit of hope there. I don't know. But I do warn J.L. Lee Mullowney, and I warn the public. For you people who have a case against the government, okay, there are some lawyers you can't go to for other matters. Like, let's say you have a case against the government of Canada, which your rights to produce that case and their charter violations pertaining to that case, and you have evidence against them in that case, okay? There are, let's say you have that, okay, and then your mother or father die and they leave you an estate and they leave you as executor. Be careful which lawyer you hire, because the government will use that lawyer in a sting operation against you with your estate. This is what has happened to me, okay, with this attorney. And I say, Mr. Mullowney was hired by someone to do this. Who hired him remains a mystery. Do you think that the police know? I think they do. Someone out there knows, and I'm telling you this. I've learned this. And I can't tell you how I know. What I will tell you is that I know that Mr. Mullowney's office was completely bugged. And someone has been spying on everything that he's done to me, okay? I know this for a fact. So I actually warned Mullowney of this. Anyway, before I go, I called Mr. Mullowney at one point. I said, Mr. Mullowney, do you know your whole office is bugged? And they're watching everything you're doing pertaining to this case. My question was who, okay? And I'm pretty certain I know who, watching him in his office screwing me and my wife out of my estate and taking orders from someone, I believe, on Parliament Hill. And whoever Mullowney is working for, I say to the RCMP, listen to me. Whoever he's working for, okay, is the person that is involved in the other matter regarding what Canada did to us and our property. And they're covering it up. See, this is what I mean. The RCMP can hack anybody's phone. They can hack Mullowney's computers. They can hack his landline. They can hack his mobile phone number. Oh yeah, the RCMP know exactly who is behind this. All right, but you see what they're doing? They got nothing to say. Okay, which means that they're no friends of my wife and I's, and they never were anyway. I'm going to stick with my accusations. These are, I wonder, did Hitler have Nazi lawyers? I believe he did, didn't he? Yeah, there you go. Anyway, shalom, God bless, and I'll talk to you again later, okay? And hopefully I'll be able to my videos will be opened up to more of a public spectrum instead of the Trudeau government trying to limit the public's capacity to see them. So God bless, have a nice day, and thank you kindly for watching.